They absolutely blow out the Jazz in game 3, but we're going to rewind to game 2 first, where Donovan Mitchell was once again spectacular. And this Utah Jazz team just hit a barrage of threes. Gobert was very active. The supporting cast was like, this is not your 90s, 80s Utah's Jazz team, right? This is a team with a bunch of super skilled guys who can all create their own shot and are just going to absolutely knock down an open shot. And the Clippers love going down 0-2, but then I was seeing it all over Twitter last night. Kawhi downloaded the Donovan Mitchell patch into his software and managed to transfer some of that over to Paul George as well. And he was on Mitchell early to start game 3. Lots and lots of high ball pressure the whole night. I was watching with my parents and I was telling them, this is where Utah misses Mike Conley, because when Donovan Mitchell is your primary playmaker and handler of the ball, and Kawhi is up in his grill like that, there's maybe not a better perimeter defender when Kawhi is chosen to lock in and absolutely shut you down. And it really, really disrupted all of Utah's offensive sets. They were hard doubling whenever someone came up to screen and trying to get the ball out of Donovan's hands. And he had no points in the first quarter and had very few in the first half. I don't have it on me right now, but it completely disrupted Utah's offense. They were still able to stay relatively attached to the Clippers in that first half. And then Paul George had his best game of the playoffs so far. He had 6 threes and 32 points. He was really, really great and bought in more so on the defensive end than he has in previous games. And the Clippers, it was their turn to have a shooting clinic. I think they shot over 50% from 3 in that game. And when you do that, you're going to win 9 times out of 10. And if you're Utah, then you got to be a little bit hopeful that they can't replicate that in game 4, but you're going to need more from Gobert. In terms of, he was getting pulled out a little bit more than in games 1 and 2, away from the paint, and the Clippers were able to create more open shots from behind the line when they were pulling him away from the basket, and they were able to blow by him just a little bit more. And then they're going to need to figure out how to get away from the Clippers' hard doubles of Mitchell, because Gobert is not like a Bruce Brown, not like a Draymond Green, where you can throw the ball to him in a short roll situation out of a double team and he can then pick apart a defense in a 4-on-3 situation. That's just not what he does. And so if you're Utah, maybe you're thinking about, this is risky, but you could run like a George Niang at the 5 or a Bogdanovich at the 5 for short stints of time while the Clippers are performing those hard doubles, because then absolutely lethal offensive situation, but then you're just giving up so much of your defensive scheme when Gobert's not on the floor. So it's definitely a balancing act that they have to consider. But the shooting is truly what this series has boiled down to before, because these are the two, number 1 and number 2 best 3-point shooting teams in the league this season, and a bunch of guys who can really knock it down. Reggie Jackson had some awesome shots in this game. And it seems like whichever team is hotter from behind the line is going to be the one to take it. So it's how much can you disrupt those rhythm shots and contest without giving up too many blow-bys and dunks from Kawhi, as we saw in game 3.
Yeah, he's been on a different level at times and is playing at that level that had some people calling him the best in the world. And I don't know how consistently he has to do that before those talks really heat up again. But if he keeps at it, I think that's where the discussion will be at in a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see Mike Conley for game 4, just in terms of like wanting to watch him play, because he's great, but also it gives that huge release valve for Donovan Mitchell. So when he's throwing out of a double team, it's not going to George Niang. It's not going to Oni. It's not going to even Joe Ingles, great playmaker, but he's not explosive attacking a team in rotation. Like, he's more of a slow break you down in a methodical manner. Whereas Mike Conley can catch that pass out of the double team and be quick enough to get by the rotating defense and then attacking the paint. Then it's a lob to Gobert, or it's a kick to an open 3. So hopefully he can be healthy in time for game 4, because Utah Jazz at full strength is just, it reaches that next tier of creation when you've got 5 of those guys who can create their own shot as opposed to 4. And if you're the Clippers, that's a big win, confidence, a big blowout win. And you just got to try and replicate what you've been doing in this game 3 and really continuing that ball pressure, which is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of energy to do so, but I mean, the back's against the wall and they seem to play well when they go down 0-2, as we've seen so far in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.